Although there have been many different training methodologies in machine learning, reinforcement learning has been the primary modality to create these models. As we've discussed previously, whether it's image, text, or sound generation, there is an environment of rewards developed to help guide the model's learning, typically to predict the next whatever in a series. This method is particularly useful in teaching models to play video games, since those are environments that are inherently reward focused through scoring points. Unless, of course, like in the case of the very challenging Atari game Montezuma's Revenge, it's a little different. The game is similar to modern day Dark Souls games: sparse rewards, and it requires exploration to win over scoring points. We will discuss the problems with this method in depth through a future post, but for the purpose of this blog, I want to state the foundational one, which is that reinforcement learning leverages something called extrinsic motivation. It is the most common type of motivation for humans and is powered by the potent dopaminergic systems in your brain. When there is anticipation of a reward, dopamine is released. We get excited. Then we receive reward, which can never really live up to the full expectation. And so we feel anticipation and excitement shift into an emptiness, which begs to be filled with more. This type of motivation is essential to our survival and is one of the primary internal mechanisms that has turned us into goal-driven creatures beyond what maintains our survival. We are constantly seeking to be rewarded in our environments, whether that's through making more money, getting praise from someone you respect, or beating a video game. At its core, extrinsic motivation is something done to us. It is reactive, and therefore can be used to manipulate. It's what's on the inside that counts. There is another, more powerful and more fulfilling type of motivation available to us, which never seems to get the attention it deserves: intrinsic motivation. Your internal motivation, the things you do just because you enjoy them, absent of any external reward. These will typically take the form of your creative hobbies. I want to highlight the creative bit because an essential piece of intrinsic motivation to me is that you are developing a skill that brings you joy because of the journey, not the final product or outcome. One of the most tantalizing paradigms in this research is the idea of flow, which is the state where your competence to do something is in this perfect harmony of difficulty and skill, where the difficulty is just out of reach, so it forces you to stretch, but not so much that you hyperextend or fall on your face. You have likely experienced this state. Think back to a time when you put your head down to do something, and then you blinked, and suddenly you're done and looking at your project like, damn, you good. But might have a little trouble actually remembering how you got there. It's a pleasant fugue state of mastery. Although dopamine is involved in this process, there's something else at play here, because we are not left with the same empty feeling. Through the demonstration of skill that aligns with our interests and values, we are not anticipating a reward, but the act itself is the reward in a self-fulfilling generative cycle.